Greetings, hi, it's me, Dr. Paul Gerhardt, and today I want to talk about setting up cross-cultural training. That's a big mouthful. Anyway, there are a lot of benefits to having effective cross-cultural training, and employees need to feel that there's a need for it, and then the training needs to be facilitated and set up properly in order to create success. I've been doing training for about 15 years now, and it's one of the most gratifying things that I think any leader can do is to help people really truly understand the benefits of diversity, and even more so have cross-cultural training where people really are able to understand and maximize the benefits of diversity in today's workplaces. And and the bottom line is really effective training really reduces stress. It helps give people more self-confidence as they interact with other people. When there's more confidence, there's more creativity that can emerge, and communication can be facilitated much more effectively. We hear in all training, we talk about, and leadership training and in diversity training, we always talk about how important effective communication is. And so most of the exercises that a good trainer does is really around being able to communicate cross-culturally. And so there are a lot of different tools that we use in the training world to help get people different types of awareness on how to adjust themselves essentially to be more effective. One of my favorite activities to do is an activity that involves pictures that I hang up around the room. So I will hang up a picture of an eagle, a picture of a tiger, a picture of a rabbit, and a picture of a turtle. And each of these pictures are hung in one side on each corner of a wall, and so that everybody can see each other. And of course it depends on the size of the groups that you're working with. And in this activity I ask people to really reflect on their own communication style and to think about themselves as a whole, their behaviors as it relates to communication and interaction with other people, and for them to look at the animals on the wall and go stand underneath the animal that best represents their communication style. This I call the activity animal communication. I don't remember where I got the activity. I didn't create it myself. Anyway, there's lots of books on how to do different types of training, and this is a really important one for cross-cultural training because there's some really subtle lessons because it's about really understanding yourself first. And as people step underneath each of these animals, I ask people to have conversations amongst themselves, just under their animal type, why they chose the animal they did. And so under the eagle, they talk about, well, this animal is an animal that kind of surveys what goes on before they strike. And they're kind of aware of the bigger picture. And they only talk once they have enough information. And the tiger personalities talks among themselves, and they say things like, well, sometimes I speak before I really think things out, but when I say things in a powerful way and people listen. And I like to surround myself with other tigers like myself because sometimes the way other people communicate, it's just too slow and it's annoying. And speaking is slow, there's the turtle people, and the turtle people say things like, well, I really like to think things out before I speak. And sometimes when I talk, it really annoys people because I've got a slow pace about myself, but when I do things really well. And the rabbits, they talk about, they like to listen a lot, and they're kind of soft-spoken, and they don't like to speak up unless they feel very strongly about something. And then they're still doing more listening than talking. But if you back them into a corner, they've got sharp claws and sharp teeth, and they'll attack you to defend themselves if they have to. So after all these personality types start talking about their communication style, then I invite them to share out with the other groups what it is that why they chose what they did, and then it kind of emerges some of the themes that they talked about related to their communication style. Well, then I asked the groups to talk about if they had to choose a friend out of the different animal types, and then a foe if they were working on projects. Who would they least like to have on their team and why, and who would they most want to have on their teams and why? And anyway, so like usually nobody wants to have a tiger on their team, but it's kind of different. Different groups have different outcomes, so you have to kind of really listen. And then turtles recognize that their communication style is slow, and that's annoying to some people, and sometimes the turtles are least chosen. And a lot of times the hawks or the eagles are chosen first because they really look things over and they're strong. So it really is kind of interesting to hear why people choose what they do. Well, the most important part, if you haven't heard me say it before, of training is the debrief. And that it really takes some really thoughtful debriefing questions to help people really understand some of the subtle dynamics of whatever the lesson is. And as you're putting together cross-cultural training, you have to really think about some of the things that you want people to understand, some of the what do you want people to walk away with? And when you're asking questions, you kind of have to make sure that you're walking people through the thinking process with the questions that help illuminate, you know, the true outcomes, where people actually make statements like, oh, I need to recognize that it's okay to be who I am, but the way I am may be keeping people from sharing their ideas fully. I really need to listen to them a little bit more, and I recognize that when I'm not listening deeply to understand from their perspective, I could be missing out on things, and I'm understanding things through my own filters rather than hearing the truth about what needs to be understood. You know, there are one of my favorite cultures to talk about is the Japanese culture. You know, they're really a very respectful culture, and if I met a leader from another country, I would make sure that I was bowing lower than them, and I was bringing a gift, doing my homework and figuring out what their interest was, and making sure that I was bringing a gift to them to help lay down a foundation of friendship and mutual respect. You know, if a Japanese leader hands you a business card, it would be important for you to take the business card with both hands and feel the material of it and hold it like it was an extension of them, and then put it in front of them like you're framing a picture, making sure that you're really trying to listen as much as possible to the messages behind what they're saying. You know, one of the things that I love about their culture is they don't like to push ideas down your throat. But if they don't agree with you, they may say things like, maybe at this time it may be better not to do this, you know, rather than say, no, I don't agree with you. There's no way. So you have to kind of learn to read between the lines. You know, some societies we talk about having a real emphasis on collectivism. You know, one of my favorite stories is about an anthropologist who goes to Africa and he puts out a test. There's a big, you probably heard this, basket of fruit at the end of a long road, and the scientist says, whoever wins gets this big basket of food. And so he's got the kids lined up, and the kids start running, and they get to the ending line, and one kid wins, and he goes over and says, "Good job, congratulations." And the kid starts handing out all the food to all his friends who ran the race with him. He says, "Why did you do that?" He said, "How could I be happy if I knew that my friends weren't eating too?" And I think just that understanding from the perspective of, in some cultures, the group or team is more important than self, really kind of helps change the way that we do things. Learning what's important to other people, and learning to respect that can help us grow and be able to maximize and create maximize a situation where we can gain the benefits of their insights to implement policies or implement new systems. And that really is very important. I mean, that's the bottom line in any organization, is they want to make sure that everybody is maximizing their productivity. That they're able to look at things differently and solve problems and resolve cross-cultural misunderstandings, and have the tools to be able to evaluate why people feel the way they do, and recognize that their way is not the only way of doing things. And when they're doing things one way, that they may be missing out on whole other audiences that the organization could benefit from. So in any training, I just want to review some key ideas. You have to make sure that you have a safe and friendly place to learn. A lot of people in trainings don't want to be there, and so you kind of have to earn their energies by helping them understand why they're there. One of the things that I do when I'm setting up like a diversity workshop where we do some cross-cultural training is, we put on this is your time, this is all about you guys, what do you want to leave with today? And so on a whiteboard or on some butcher paper, we'll write down what they want to learn and what they want to talk about. So they're kind of help developing the training. And of course, I'll have activities that are already set up, but I'll keep those things in mind as I'm facilitating conversations to debrief each of the activities. And then being able to set up, clear, safe rules, just for today. What would make this a safe place to learn? And usually people talk about considering everybody's ideas and allowing people to talk one person at a time. And when other people are sharing different ideas, really listen and be ready to be called on to paraphrase what they heard, and to discuss how they feel about things in a respectful way where you own your own feelings. Those are the kinds of things that you could put on the board for the rules of the training. But having those posted in the training room helps make sure that the training stays safe. It has to be conversation friendly, where you got to allow trust to naturally be built, and you have to give trust to people, and then you got to talk with people like they are smart and intelligent, because they are. You have to stay enthusiastic. When people don't agree, you can never let people see you sweat, but allow people to be wrong if they want to be wrong. And it's sometimes you have to be a little diplomatic as you facilitate conversations around those misunderstandings when they're not accurate. So your attitude can be contagious, and you have to know yourself too. You have to know where your triggers are, and you know where your strengths are. I'll be the first person to take a step back and say, oh, that's a good question. I haven't heard that before. What do you guys think about this? And so helping facilitate the wisdom that's in the room. And you have to know that when you're working with other adults, they'll know things that you don't know. And you have to make sure you've done your homework and you understand the nuances of different cultures, and you understand the theories and practices, and you have stories that go along with things, because we like to learn from stories, and then you get people's thoughts, and you got to allow people chance to be able to think about things. So I get to my trainings very early, a couple hours, believe it or not, beforehand, if possible, and make sure the projector is working, make sure the room is set up properly for training. Training has got to be interactive. You need to make sure you have an agenda that's set up so you know when the break times are, and you need to honor break times, and you need to know where you need to be for certain hours of the day. And it just can't be a flavor of the day, but it does need to be enjoyable. People need to walk away and go, wow, that was a powerful learning experience. And at the end of the day, you can help prove it's a powerful learning experience by getting people to say, all right, let's go around the room and talk about one key learning. What did you guys get out of today? So that kind of flushes out the what did people learn, and that it was a valuable piece of time. But when people can be more realistic with goal setting and expectations as they interact with other people, and they learn how to solve problems by really utilizing and understanding the ideas of others, that's when you know that organizations can move forward with best practices of being cross-culturally understanding. So anyway, it's hard for me to say early here in the morning as I'm recording this, but having clear outcomes, understanding what the needs of the organization are, understand the cultures that people are working in, and developing activities that help people understand some of the nuances, making sure that the training area is safe, and you have all the materials set up where you've got people doing reflection, you have activities that are fun and interactive, and you're having very clear questions to help people really understand the learning outcomes that were intended. People's time is very valuable, but people have to understand why they're in the training and really embrace the fact that this is going to be a beneficial use of their time. And then you give them tools to use to develop and continue developing after the training is done. And then a good follow-up session at a later time helps reiterate some of the points. It cannot be a flavor of the day. People really need to understand how to interact with people from other cultures, and developing the skills to really listen and understand, the communication skills and the managing conflict and managing, self through an understanding of your own biases and your own triggers is really important. So anyway, I've given you a lot. Don't mean to ramble on, but thanks so much for being here. I appreciate your time. Have a great day. Only you get to choose how you feel about things. This is Dr. Paul Gerhardt signing off. Good day.